Hello, everybody, and welcome to another conversation that we're having as part of our inaugural Empower-thon fundraiser supporting the Parent Tween Foundation. If we haven't had an opportunity to meet yet, I'm Clarissa Constantine, and I'm the founder of the entire entity called Parent Tween Connection. And we're where parents go when they don't know where to go. We connect parents to professionals who can help them help themselves and help their kids. So before we go any further, I want to say a huge heartfelt thank you to Lori for her time today and for her knowledge and for being a supporter of Parent Tween Foundation. So first things first, thank you, Lori, for being with me today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Parent Tween Connection, we connect parents to the professionals who can help them. And the Parent Tween Foundation's mission is to help bridge the financial gap that too frequently exists between families and the professionals that can offer them insight and guidance and support as they navigate life with teens and tweens. So yes, as a fundraiser, there is going to be a shameless plug at the end of this conversation, because I'm going to say, look, I know you just got really good information from Lori. She's brilliant in her space. I know you're going to get good information. And I'm going to say, hey, if you just learned something that's going to help you and help your kids, say thank you to Lori by sharing of your means to the extent that you can, even if it's like $5, because the more that we have people helping us launch the foundation, the more families we can help in the long run. So without further ado, a formal introduction. Lori Bender is the founder of Students Stress Less Coaching. She focuses on helping students navigate that shift between high school graduation and college. In a lot of ways, there's some consistencies. In a lot of ways, it's a very, very different world. One housekeeping thought I just totally realized I forgot. We are streaming live to our Facebook group, our LinkedIn page, and our YouTube channel. If you've got questions and you want to interact or ask Lori questions as we chat, please feel free to come on over to our Facebook group. It's simply parenttweenconnection.com. I do have it open on the other monitor so that I can watch questions and we can incorporate them as we go. So, Lori, yes, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being here. And I know, I work in a tangential space in the test prep world. I see a lot of students make this transition. And unfortunately, one of the biggest reasons they don't succeed in that transition is that they go into college with a mindset that isn't healthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I know one of the things that you're uber focused on is helping them look at the college experience as more than just the piece of paper that we get to hang on the wall. Whoops, bring that back. There we go.
There she is. Yes. So I have, I started out in this mental health space back in 2000, around 17, 18, when really the suicide rate in our country was at its highest. I mean, this is in general, not talking about college students. And
Right.
in the last 6 years of being in the mental health space is another option for parents of college students. It's obvious that stress and anxiety, overwhelm, this is what's driving students to student wellness centers to, to get help with mental health issues. But here is this, I base my whole business on this one quote. It's actually one of the slides. It says, when a student feels in control of their life in a healthy and productive way, their mental health becomes both the foundation and the catalyst for their academic success. I don't think we could sum it up in any other way.
Absolutely.
It is a holistic approach, this college experience. We cannot, parents, mentors, tutors, coaches, professors, we can't just look at the academic component. It's only one piece of this huge puzzle. So that's why, go ahead.
I was going to say, and that's one of the things, that's why I asked you, I know it was your fourth point on the PowerPoint, but as we were preparing, thank you for your flexibility, because this really hits home for me as well. Having been in the test prep world for 25 years and supporting high school kids who are college bound, but also college students who are grad school bound. They get so hung up on, I have to have a, 8.5 on a 4.0 GPA scale. And I have to have all the extracurriculars, because if I don't get into a good college, then my life is over. When in fact, this idea of focusing on the holistic experience, I think applies in high school as well,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right.
it's not just the grades, like the maturation, the growth, the progress that we see in a young adult between ninth grade and 12th grade is fantastic. Like it is,
Mhm.
it's just, it's awe inspiring, right?
Right.
And yet so much of that time for so many students and parents drive a lot of this. I'm not going to say everything is on parents, but a lot of it in this arena is on parents if they
Yeah.
have high expectations of kids. And I tell kids, like I was working with one family where we're trying to figure out SAT versus ACT and like scheduling and everything. And Taylor Swift is going to be in town the night before the July ACT here in Denver,
Oh,
where I live.
such bad timing.
And the student said to me, "That's okay. I'll just skip the Taylor Swift concert." I said, "You absolutely will not. Your whole family is going. You're going to go to Taylor Swift and you're going to have fun with your family. We have
Yeah.
time on ACT." And so it's just, that's a big reason why I asked you, like, hey, can we start there? Because I feel like that's
Yeah.
the underpinning,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, grades are important. Yes, the piece of paper you put on your wall when you're done is important. But at the end of the day, who you become in that process
Mhm.
is so much more important, wouldn't you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah, I think your point is so well taken. I think, if we start with number 4 on this slide in the ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th grade, and kids can go to college with the mindset of a work play, life balance, I think it
Mhm.
just sets them up, for success. So much attention is placed on, like you said, getting into the college of their choice, that they just,
Mhm.
everything else about teenage years, about the college experience is just, put on the back burner.
It really is. Anyway, okay, I'm off my
Okay.
soapbox, but thank you for
Yes.
letting us start there because
Yeah, I
it's
can.
so important.
Well, and I think, I get so passionate when I talk about these things. You're going to see me, probably my voice will get elevated. I'll talk with my hands. I'll talk quickly because I am like you. I feel just so strongly that it's just a slight switch in parents mentality as they are,
Mhm.
helping transition their child from high school to college. If you wait until the summer before college to say, okay, Sally, it's okay if you don't get a 4.0 this semester. Well, you know what? The mindset's already there.
The culture is already there.
Yeah, the culture, the drive to achieve, and then all of a sudden to switch out of that, it kind of, is very confusing, for the student. So, um, should we start with number 1?
Yeah. We'll go, whoops. I unshared it and I'll bring it right back. Give me just a second.
Yep.
Um, and this is, we'll take a minute and we'll bring this back up as a reminder for folks of what you had said, the quote that you had identified
Hmm.
that I've now lost. Do you ever have those days and you're just like, come on now?
Maybe I can read it again while you're looking for it.
Yeah, here we go. Let's go for it.
When a student feels in control of their life in a healthy and productive way, their mental health becomes both the foundation and the catalyst for their academic success. So,
Absolutely.
in a nutshell, what we're saying is prioritize mental health over grades.
And I would go so far as to say when a human feels in control of their life in a healthy and productive way, their mental health becomes both the foundation and the catalyst for their human success, wouldn't you?
100%. Yeah.
Love it. All
So,
right. So,
so what is mental wealth? So, I don't think I coined this term, but this is why I like, and by the way, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. Those
it
of us that
is.
are in this space, you know, um, to talk about the difference between the terms mental health and mental wealth, I just kind of operate from a mental wealth perspective when working with students. And here's why. So I have just coined that phrase, or the definition. Mental wealth is the results of how well you regulate your nervous system, you process your emotions,
Mhm.
you attend to your overall wellness, and you prioritize the care of your mental health.
Mhm.
And why do I like to use this term with students? Because it implies positivity. It
Yes.
implies that there's a chance to grow.
Yep.
It's okay to fail.
Mhm.
We learn from our mistakes. It implies, that we are not in a static position as a college
Mhm.
student. You are just beginning this lifelong journey of blooming, right?
Mhm.
And so, with this implication, it implies hope, encouragement, and an incentive to invest in your
Mhm.
mental well-being. So the term mental health still evokes a scary kind of hands-off feeling when we
Sure.
hear or read the word. So, but mental wealth does not. So yeah, I like to operate from this direction when we talk about the state of a student's mental well-being.
I love it. All right. So then
Yes.
we've talked
So
about anxiety. Go ahead.
yeah, so the crucial role that mental health plays in a student's overall success. I mean, in a way, it's a no brainer, but we don't actually carry it out. As parents, as
Mhm.
educators, we don't actually prioritize mental health,
Mhm.
especially the summer before your new college student arrives on campus. It's the
Mhm.
one thing we forget to talk about. We talk about, do you have your bedspread? Do you have the right computer? Do you know your schedule? We talk about all of those logistics, but we don't talk about the foundation.
Yep.
Anxiety to this day remains the number one mental health struggle on college campuses in our country. Depression is a very close
Close second.
second.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you had said let's pop over to number one. Obviously, we've got some statistics that I mean, I think it's only been exacerbated by the pandemic, right? That like it
Yep.
feels like, especially when we put kids in, in classes at home for a couple of years or for a year or whatever it is, and we're living in a different world now. And to your point about anxiety and depression being so significant, and that anxiety leads to suicide attempts. What
Yeah.
is it? One of your notes is that suicide is the second leading cause of death for folks in the ages between 10 and 34, not
Yeah.
expressly for college, but in that 25-year span, it's the
Mhm.
second leading cause of death, which is
Yeah.
horrifying when
Horrifying.
there are things that we can do to help.
Right. And if
So,
anyone has been following the news with NC State University, I have personal and professional ties to NC State in Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's just, it's been just heartbreaking this year to experience that many suicides in one year.
yeah.
So yeah.
All
So
right. So I
what
was going to
can
say,
here
strategy
we go.
wise, where do we start?
Yeah, just three really solid ways parents can send their students to college with a secure mental health state. Number one, to this day, the students that I work with will tell you, I wish I would have been more organized. So,
Mhm.
parents, help your students set up a daily operating system. What does that mean? So, organization and time management are two of the controllables that we have, that students have over their mental health. We can control how organized we are, we can control how we spend our time, how we manage disruptions. And here are a couple of pointers of how to do that. Talk to your student about habits, healthy habits. And when I work with a student, the last thing they want to hear is that they have to wake up at the same time every day and aim to be in bed by the same time every night. Because guess
Mhm.
what? To them in college, independence, free time, flexibility, when we talk about the importance of daily routines and habits, that suddenly means they've lost all of that freedom. And they
Mhm.
don't like to hear that.
Mhm.
So here are a couple of things you can do. Talk about the importance of a planning system. Planners, I know college freshmen will laugh at a paper planner, but it is still the most effective way to stay on task. Um, in addition to a planner, you have to have a calendar, because a planner is only for assignments. That is only for
Mhm.
projects and academic assignments. So you in addition need a calendar for everything else: appointments, social, sports, And then your daily task system is basically, it's a checkoff list.
Mhm.
We still use those. Some
Well,
people like to, go ahead.
I was gonna say, let me interject for a second too. As I look back to what my experience was and what I now know about myself and the way that my brain works, some of these are skills. It's not
Mhm.
just, oh, go do it. Like I can think back, and my mother would always tell me, well, you just need to organize better. And like with an adult with a fully formed brain at this point, I can look back at those days and go, no one taught me how to
Mhm.
organize.
Mhm.
For folks who deal with neurodiversity or
Yep,
neurodivergencies, this is executive functioning.
100%.
And if they like, ADHD is a very common one. Depending on different aspects of, on the autism spectrum, sometimes we have difficulty with some of these as well. And that's why somebody like you, or an ADHD coach, or an ADHD coach, or like an executive functioning coach can be so helpful, because
Mhm.
my dorm room when I was in college was a disaster,
Yes.
because organization, like I have to pay somebody to teach me
Mhm.
how to organize.
Yeah.
It's just, there are many, many things that I'm really good at, and that's not one of them. And so I think from my experience, as I'm hearing what you're sharing, like I recognize the value, and I just want parents to understand, like, if it's not
Oh,
something that comes naturally to your kiddo, whether they deal with a diagnosed neurodivergence or not, it's a
mhm.
skill that they can develop, and they're not going to develop it from mom and dad, probably because
No.
it's mom and dad.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It is complete executive functioning skills. I'm finishing up my certification right now to be an executive function coach. I have always been an executive function coach based on what you see here. We're making it official. So yeah, you're
Good.
100% right. It is never ever too late to build executive function skills. We're
Mhm.
not born with them. We
No,
have
we're
to
not.
build them. We have to practice them. We have to execute them. So yeah, you're 100% right.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's a lot of, and I like the fact that you indicate the wellness component. Am I
Yes.
correct in understanding that means that they need to include self-care or self-wellness
Every
in
day.
their scheduling system?
Schedule it if you have to.
Yeah.
Schedule it if you have to.
Yeah. And there's plenty of us who do.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So your second tip.
Yes. Another really crucial element of going to college and landing on college campus is to already have a mental wealth plan, whether it be in your head, whether you've written it out. Know what strategies, which coping exercises, which techniques, practices, and tools that you will use to manage your physical and your mental stress. And here's the thing, you may not have done this in high school,
Mhm.
or you did it through sports and organizations and
Mhm.
time with your time with your church friends, your family, your peers. You already were doing it in high school. It was kind of done for you. You just kind of
Mhm.
plugged in.
Mhm.
But when you get into this new space of college, you may not know how to do these things yourself. So
Mhm.
here are some, they sound kind of commonsensical things to do, but again, you really have to do it with intention. Intentionally connect with others.
Mhm.
Um, Even if you're a shy student like myself, I went to college not knowing how to make friends. I was,
Mhm.
in a very small high school, and they were made for me. I had to build that skill.
Mhm.
So, intentional social connections, incorporating whole foods, just these common sense things, incorporating body movement, sleep. I could talk 3 days on the importance of sleep habits and
For sure.
hygiene.
Uh-huh.
Um, as we keep going down the list, know how to spend free time. Do you sleep? Do you break it up and incorporate some fitness in there?
Mhm.
Setting personal boundaries is huge. And a lot of
Mhm.
that has to do with managing disruptions, saying no, fear of missing out. That's
Mhm.
huge. Have a bank, a toolkit, or an arsenal of effective stress relieving techniques. So, if I were to ask if I were to ask a high school student right now, what is your number one go to stress relieving technique? What do? They would probably say sleep.
Mhm.
But what they don't know is they are relieving stress through outlets of team sports,
Mhm.
music, art, all of those things. They're doing it. They just don't know they're doing it. And the
Mhm.
last one is so critical. Always incorporate an element of joy into your day, whatever that is. Go to college with a passion. If you had a passion in high school, whether it be pets, transfer that passion to college and get involved right away.
Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned pets because, like, you can't take your pets to college. Like, you can't take animals in the dorm room, and I get why they do that. It makes sense, all that
Mhm.
jazz. But for a lot of families, if you have pets at home, and I mean, like for me, my dogs are my sanity in a lot of cases. If I suddenly had to move away and couldn't take them with me, even though I know that they're at home, that's going to be a very significant change in my stress management.
Yeah,
So, if it's a case of like, okay, where's the local shelter? Where's the Humane Society? I want to go walk dogs for 3 hours on a
right.
Saturday just to get my dog fix. I wish I'd had that kind of an insight back then, because
Right.
I left. I mean, we had a cat, which, cats and dogs are different in terms of their emotional connection sometimes, but like I still didn't have my fur kid with me in my dorm.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
I love it. All right.
Okay,
Number
and then
three.
we won't go through all of these, but the importance of parents. The third thing parents can do to help send their kid to college with a bolstered mental health, secure mental
Mhm.
health, is to go ahead, do your research ahead of time. Um, Make a campus resource, and here's a clincher here, and community resource list. You don't have to just rely on your campus resources. Know what's in your community, because oftentimes um, campus may not have that one little thing that you need. So know what's available in your community. And a lot of this you can just get right off of your college's website.
Sure.
Know them, make connections, visit them, have the phone numbers available. Pencil all of this into your calendar. And then I love the quote at the bottom, and this is not my quote, but um, proximity is power, but so is knowledge. So know what each of these resources has to offer you and
Mhm.
how they can support you.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, because I mean, great, it can be close to you, but if you don't know that it's there, you don't know that it's close, you can't utilize that resource.
That's right. Yep.
I know one of the things that you talked about is knowing how to communicate with them as well.
Mhm.
And, our kids today, even, myself, I communicate with a lot of my clients by text message because it's
Mhm.
easier and because it's a real quick, I can get the information out. I don't have to have a conversation. I can keep it short and sweet and to the point. But there are times where a phone call is also necessary,
Yeah. Yeah.
or being able to write an email. So things like if you're going to be able to communicate with them, do you have any recommendations beyond just a short text message of what can smooth communication with these various resources?
Yeah, so I think, starting first and foremost with your academic advisor, I wouldn't even do text. There's something called professor communication etiquette. And if any professors are listening, or um, if you're in that academic space, there are ways professors like to be addressed, and text
Mhm.
messaging is probably not one.
Right.
An email or a visit to office hours just to introduce yourself. I never did that in 6 years of college. I never ever developed that connection. And you know
Mhm.
why? Because in my mind it wasn't needed. They were there if I needed them, but it wasn't an immediate need for me. Still,
Sure.
connect. There's no right or wrong way to connect. Just connect in some way and let them know who you are.
Mhm. Well, and what this makes me think of is a conversation that we had with Nate Clayberg during the
Yeah,
first week of
I talked to
Empower.
Nate last week. Yes.
Yeah, he's amazing. We had a conversation about building your network, and he was talking about building your network in high school. But I see
Yes.
that you've indicated on here the third bullet point on the right hand side, connecting with alumni from your
Mm,
department, but also connecting with the professors in your department, especially, but not just those, because you don't know who your other professors know.
that's
And
right.
even something simple at the beginning of the semester, dear Professor Bender, I'm Clarissa. I'm in your, stress management 101 class. And I just wanted to reach out to double check if I have any questions, what's the best way to reach out to you?
100%.
Especially if we're talking like you're in a freshman 101, like, English 101, if you're at a big state campus and you've got 300 kids in a class, right? That's one of those things, like I know here we're talking about this from a mental health perspective, but recognizing that really our goal is to, as you've indicated, not just survive, but to thrive through and beyond college. The relationships that we establish in those collegiate years, especially today. I mean, LinkedIn was barely a thing when we were there, right, Lori? Like Facebook came out, like I got on Facebook after college, and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter weren't even things yet, right? But like if we, when you're in a group of like 500 like that, a simple email to a professor or to a teacher's assistant saying, this is who I am, this is my major, I just want to introduce myself, and I want to confirm the best way to communicate with you in the event that I have a question.
That's right.
That right there is going to set you apart, and it's going to set you up for a more successful experience. And it's super simple.
Yeah. Well, and I think I don't have any statistics in front of me at the moment, but it just makes sense that it probably, being able to communicate and stay on the radar of your department's faculty probably has some correlation to the grade you get in that. I mean, I'm guessing, but it just makes sense that if you're invested and you show that you are interested in, and make that effort to connect, it has to reflect in how much effort you're going to put in that class, right?
Well, and then for example, right, I reach out, Professor Bender, I'm Clarissa, I'm in your stress management 101 class. Then 3 weeks down the road, when I'm like, hey, I need a connection to somebody, or maybe it's 3 months or even 3 years down the road, Professor Bender, this is Clarissa. I was in your stress management 101 class, and I'm looking for an internship in XYZ area. I know this may not be the area that you specialize in, but you never know who knows.
That's right.
So I figured I'd at least drop you an email, like by starting that very foundational relationship building early on. It's going to be a whole lot different if it's like, hey, Professor Bender, I was in your class 3 years ago, and I know you don't remember me, but I'm just curious. Like, the professors are going to be less inclined to, not that they're going to be like, screw you, get out of here, but like they're going to be more inclined to help if there's even a modicum of a relationship established.
Yeah. I think you're so right. And I think parents, can keep in mind that, again, this whole connecting, with your faculty, it's a social skill.
It is.
So start practicing the minute you get on campus, and by the time you get to be a senior and looking for that first job, boy, you have got a heads up on a lot of other students.
For sure. Awesome. All right, so we're going to wrap it up with a reminder of point number 4, which is actually where we began. Again, Lori, thank you so much. And thank you so much for really emphasizing how much all of this feeds into the mental health, and that really the underpinning of this is we have to look at the big picture.
That's right.
And, to the day that my mother died, she did not let me forget that I earned a degree that I haven't used a day in my life. And I'm like, yes, you're right.
You're using it right now.
Well, but the thing is that's exactly it, right? Is that like, no, I don't use the music production or the audio engineering technical skills that I developed, but the human that I developed into in those 4 years and have continued to develop as since then, like that's based on those experiences, the non-academic. So I think that's one of the reasons that it hits so close to home. We've got to make sure we've got to get them through college with mental wealth intact so that they can thrive beyond. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great holiday weekend. I forgot it was a holiday weekend. So
it is.
Have a good one.
But before we completely head out, everybody listening in, I promised you there was going to be a shameless plug.
Oh my gosh.
So I know you got some good information, and I'm just going to say again, Lori is offering her time and knowledge today in support of the Parent Tween Foundation so that we can help connect more families to resources like Lori, who can help them help their kids. So if you follow the link in the description of the event, it'll take you right to her like fundraising link, if you will. And we actually have a little bit of a little challenge going on, a little like friendly competition going on. That whoever our most fundraisingist participant is, they had a choice of having a percentage donated to another nonprofit of their choice. Was there one that you wanted to support in addition to the Parent Tween Foundation, or did you want everything to stay here?
Let everything stay there. You're
Okay.
building, you're just getting going, and I am just thrilled to be a part of that. So yes.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate that. And we have that going on because we know there are so many other amazing organizations out there doing work that overlaps and is tangential and complementary to what we do. So that's why we offered that as an option for our speakers. But Lori, thank you. We appreciate you.
You're
And
welcome.
everybody listening, thanks for tuning in.
See you next time.
Have a great one, everybody.
Bye.